The engine was still running when I stopped in the driveway, headlights casting pale cones of light onto the brick wall ahead. I didn't get out right away. Just sat there, fists clenched on the steering wheel, the sound of the turn signal ticking even though I wasn't turning anywhere. There's a moment right before everything collapses when your body knows it before your brain does. My body was screaming. My chest felt tight. There was a buzzing in my ears. I'd just come back from the store. Nothing dramatic. Picked up milk, some bread, and the kind of almond creamer Steph likes in her coffee even though I think it tastes like melted cardboard. It was a habit, buying stuff for her, thinking of her. But that stopped tonight. I walked into the house like I always did. Quiet. Calm. Not expecting much. The dog didn't bark, he was with her parents this weekend. House was too quiet. Too still. And then I heard it. Not a sound you'd expect. Not moaning. Not anything like that. Just the sound of a phone being put down too fast on the kitchen counter. That tiny, guilty clunk of someone startled. I came around the corner. Stephanie was standing by the sink. Phone face down. Eyes wide. Like she wasn't expecting me to be back so soon. Her hair was still damp, freshly showered, and she had on that gray t-shirt I'd given her years ago, the one that used to hang loose on her but now hugged her tighter. She used to wear it to bed when we were happy. I stared at her and she blinked. Back already? She asked, voice like artificial sugar. Yeah, I said. They were out of oat milk. That's when I saw it. The wine glass, still half full on the dining table. But there was a second one next to it. Lipstick on one. Nothing on the other. My stomach dropped. I walked past her, slowly, deliberately. She didn't move. Her eyes followed me but her feet stayed planted. I picked up the second glass. Still warm. I looked back at her. Company? I asked. She smiled. But it was that smile. The one she used when she got pulled over by a cop and wanted to talk her way out of a ticket. I had Amanda over, she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She just left. I nodded. Amanda. Of course. The eternal scapegoat. Every guy reading this knows what that name means when it comes out too fast. I didn't say anything else. I just walked past her into the hallway. The guest bathroom door was half open. And that's when I smelled it. Cologne. Not a faint trace. Not a whiff on a cardigan. This was fresh. Wet. A scent designed to linger. Not mine. Not even close. A little too heavy, like something a younger guy would drown himself in before hitting a rooftop bar. My jaw clenched so hard it made my temples throb. I turned around. Stephanie was still in the kitchen, watching me. She wasn't panicking. Wasn't even pretending to care that I'd noticed. She took a sip of her wine and leaned against the counter like this was all perfectly normal. I walked back, slow, deliberate. The seconds stretched. You sure Amanda just left? She looked at me over the rim of the glass. Relax, she said, shrugging. It's not that deep. My heart stopped for a moment. And in the stillness, something inside me just went quiet. I stared at her, really looked. And for the first time in all the years I'd known her, I realized how little of the woman I fell in love with was standing in front of me. I put the grocery bag down on the table. Bread spilling out. Exactly, I said. That's why I'm leaving. She didn't flinch. Didn't ask what I meant. Didn't reach for me, didn't say she was sorry, didn't ask me to stay. Just rolled her eyes like I was the inconvenience in her night. Like I was the idiot ruining her fun. Then from the hallway a shoe scuffed against the hardwood floor. That's when everything began to unravel. The sound was unmistakable. A shuffle. The kind of noise someone makes when they try not to make a noise. My body turned before my brain caught up. Stephanie didn't move. She just kept sipping her wine, eyes flicking toward the hallway like a cat watching a dying bird twitch. I stared at her, waiting, praying maybe that she would say something to stop what was about to happen. Anything. A lie, an excuse, a plea. But she didn't. So I walked past her and down the hall, steps slow and heavy, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might drown out the silence. I pushed the guest bathroom door open with 2 fingers. Empty. But the door to the basement was cracked. Now let me say this, our basement isn't finished. It's a concrete floor, low ceiling, paint peeling kind of basement. A place you go to store holiday boxes and curse when you forget the laundry. No one hangs out down there. Unless they're hiding. I pulled the door open all the way, flipped the switch. Light buzzed on, that ugly, cold, white kind. And there he was. Standing at the foot of the stairs. A stranger. 20-something maybe, with a face like he expected me to punch it. Skinny. Wearing jeans and a shirt that looked like he'd borrowed it from a frat boy's dirty laundry pile. His hair was damp. His belt wasn't fully buckled. He opened his mouth. I raised my hand. Don't. He shut it again. We stared at each other for what felt like a full minute. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of being yelled at. He wasn't worth it. He didn't owe me anything. She did. I turned around and walked back up, not even bothering to close the door behind me. Stephanie hadn't moved. She was still leaning against the counter, wine glass now nearly empty. She wasn't smirking anymore. Just watching me. Gauging. Was that Corey? I asked. Her eyes flickered. Just for a second. Yeah. That was it. No apology. No panic. Just yeah. Like I'd asked her if we were out of eggs. You bring him here? I said. She shrugged. Where else would I go? My hands were shaking. Not from rage, not yet, but from something deeper. A cold, crawling kind of betrayal. The kind you don't scream about because it's too heavy to lift. It sits on your chest. Roots in your spine. You could have told me. She snorted. Actually snorted. And you would have done what, Tyler? Cried? Thrown a fit? Come on. Let's not act like this marriage was some fairy tale. I felt something crack. Not in the air. In me. Then why didn't you leave? She finished her wine. Set the glass down gently. Looked at me with a face so empty it chilled me. Because you pay the mortgage. That hit harder than anything. Not the cheating. Not the lies. That. The casual, calculated way she said it, like I was a transaction she'd milked until she didn't need to anymore. The worst part? I wasn't surprised. I nodded. Once. Like signing a contract in my head. Agreement sealed. I'll be gone in the morning, I said. You can keep the mortgage. She didn't stop me. Didn't follow. Didn't say a word as I grabbed my coat and keys. I walked out into the night air, suddenly aware of how quiet it was outside. Just crickets and the sound of a neighbor's sprinkler ticking on. Behind me, the lights in the house didn't change. She didn't watch me leave. And the guy downstairs? He never came up. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't go to a hotel. Just drove. Miles passed without memory. The city blurred into highway and the highway into empty two-lane roads that curled through black forests and towns I couldn't name. The dashboard clock ticked past 2 a.m. My phone buzzed once, a text from Stephanie. Can you take Milo with you when you get your stuff? I have meetings all week. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just logistics. I laughed. Actually laughed. A hollow, breathless thing that didn't feel like it belonged to me. Our dog, our family, was now just a bullet point on her to-do list. I didn't reply. By sunrise, I pulled into the parking lot of an old roadside diner. The kind of place where the coffee tastes like cigarettes and the eggs are always overcooked. I sat there, hands on the wheel, watching the sky lighten over the trees. Trying to feel something. But all I felt was numb. I kept replaying it in my head, not just the night before, but all the subtle betrayals that led to it. The way she stopped laughing at my jokes. The way she turned her body slightly away from me when we sat on the couch. The makeup she started wearing on errand runs. The way she used to text me, be safe, before bed, and then just didn't. None of it was loud. It was quiet. Like a slow leak in a tire. And I let it happen. And now I was here. In a parking lot. Drinking gas station coffee and trying not to fall apart. Around 9 a.m. I drove back. I don't know what I expected, maybe for her to be gone, or pretending to be asleep, or at least behind a locked door. But she was in the kitchen. Still in that same shirt. Eating cereal. No makeup. Phone propped against the napkin holder, streaming some influencer talking about skin routines. She didn't look up when I walked in. You forgot your laptop, she said, between bites. It was on the couch. I stared at her. Not just at her, but through her. Trying to figure out how this person, this stranger in my wife's skin, had existed beside me all this time. I'm taking Milo, I said. She nodded like I was telling her I'd be 5 minutes late to dinner. I grabbed my duffel from the hallway closet, scooped Milo's leash and food into a reusable grocery bag, and clipped the dog's harness on. He wagged, oblivious. Happy just to be going somewhere. And still, she hadn't said a single thing that even resembled remorse. Just as I reached for the doorknob, she finally spoke. You're being dramatic. I stopped. My heart didn't pound. It didn't ache. It just hardened. Am I? I asked. She scoffed. You're acting like I murdered someone. I turned back slowly. No, I said. You just murdered us. Her eyes narrowed. God, you're such a victim. Something inside me flared. Not anger. Not sadness. Something clean. Cold. Final. I gave you everything, I said. Time, loyalty, love. And you gave it to some kid in my basement. That hit her. Briefly. Her jaw tightened. Maybe if you'd been more of a man, I wouldn't have had to. I blinked. Then I opened the door. Milo trotted out ahead of me. I didn't slam it. Didn't say another word. Because there was nothing left to say. Let her rot in that silence. Let her rot in herself. The drive to my brother's place took 28 minutes. I counted every second. Jason didn't ask questions when I showed up. Just opened the door, took one look at me, and pulled me into the kind of hug only an older brother can give, firm, no nonsense, but solid as a wall. He didn't ask where Stephanie was. He didn't need to. I dropped my bag in the guest room and collapsed onto the bed without taking off my shoes. Milo jumped up next to me, curled in the crook of my knees like he could sense the break in me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning overhead, each slow rotation slicing the silence like a clock I no longer trusted. My phone buzzed again around noon. Stephanie, I think you're overreacting. We should talk when you calm down. It felt unreal, like a stranger had typed it, wearing her name like a mask. There was no shame in her words, no guilt. Just management. Damage control. I put the phone face down and let it die. Over the next few days, the messages kept coming. All of them sterile. Emotionless. Let me know when you want to come pick up the rest of your stuff. The Wi-Fi bill is in your name, can you switch it? Please don't take the Instant Pot. My mom got it for me. Every message was a scalpel. Clean. Cold. Precise. No mention of the guy in the basement. No questions about how I was. No confession. No apology. Just administration. Jason didn't push. He just let me be. He cooked. Gave me space. Took Milo for walks. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me from the kitchen, that big brother worried look he used to give me when we were kids, and I scraped my knees trying to keep up. On the fourth night, I finally told him everything. We sat on the porch, 2 beers between us, stars above like salt scattered across a black plate. I didn't hold back. I told him about the wine glass, the smell of cologne, the stranger in my basement. Her words. Relax, it's not that deep. And how I answered her. Exactly, that's why I'm leaving. Jason didn't interrupt. Just sat there, jaw clenched, eyes on the darkness. When I finished, he let out a slow breath. She's not broken, Ty, he said. She's empty. That's worse. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I just let those words settle in my chest where the weight of everything else already lived. The next morning, I made my decision. I was going back to the house. Not to talk. Not to fight. Just to end it. Officially. Cleanly. I wasn't going to give her another opportunity to twist it, to spin the narrative, to flip the guilt on me. No drawn-out therapy. No weeping phone calls. No pretending there was anything to salvage. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Completely, irreversibly done. It's strange, when a bone breaks clean, it heals faster. But when it splinters, it can take years. I think I was lucky. Her betrayal was a clean break. I pulled into the driveway at 11:03 a.m. The sun was sharp that day, the kind of light that exposes every flaw, the hairline cracks in the pavement, the dead leaves in the gutters, the smear on the windshield you didn't notice before. Stephanie's car was in the driveway. I expected it to be. I'd sent her a single text that morning. Coming to get the rest. Be out of the way. She didn't reply. As I walked to the door, Milo at my side, there was a surreal calm washing over me. No adrenaline. No rage. Just clarity. Like standing on the shore after a hurricane and realizing the worst part already passed and you're still here. The front door was unlocked. I stepped in. She was sitting on the couch in that same damn cardigan from the night I knew. Crossed legs, scrolling her phone like she was waiting on a Grubhub order. No expression. No urgency. She looked up when I walked in. You could have knocked, she said. I didn't answer. Just started moving. Bedroom first. Pulled out drawers, grabbed what was mine. Socks. T-shirts. The hoodie she always used to steal and now couldn't touch. My cologne. My toothbrush. Every item a small extraction of myself from this decaying shell of a life. She watched me from the hallway. You're seriously just gonna ghost everything we built? I zipped the bag. You torched it. I'm just collecting the ashes. She scoffed. Oh my God, Tyler. Don't be so dramatic. People mess up. I turned to her. People mess up when they spill coffee on your laptop. Not when they let someone else walk barefoot through your house while you're out buying groceries for them. Her face tightened. But only for a moment. Then came the shift, the cold, calculated side I'd seen before. Her eyes narrowed and her voice dropped half an octave. You weren't exactly present the last 6 months. You were so caught up in work, your routines, your precious little habits. I needed more. I let out a quiet laugh, more air than sound. You needed more, so you brought a stranger into our bed? It wasn't her bed, she snapped. You've been sleeping on the couch for weeks. Because you pushed me there. No, she said, folding her arms. You put yourself there. That was the moment I stopped listening. Because it wasn't just the lies. It was the lack of ownership. The way she curled every action into a justification. The way she could dismantle everything we built and still paint herself as the injured party. I finished packing. Walked to the front door. Milo followed, tail low, sensing tension but trusting me to lead him out of it. Just as I opened the door, she said one more thing. You'll be back. They always come back. I didn't turn around. Didn't give her that satisfaction. But I paused. No, I said. The version of me who would have come back? You buried him next to your dignity. And then I walked out. The door shut behind me like the end of a sentence. Final. Quiet. Absolute. The first real breath I took in weeks was behind the wheel with the last of my bags in the trunk and the house in the rearview mirror. No calls. No texts. No second glances. Just the road ahead. I moved into a month-to-month apartment near the lake. Nothing fancy, 2 rooms, bare walls, quiet neighbors. But for the first time in a long time, I could hear myself think. Not the anxious, buzzing thoughts that used to circle around what Stephanie was doing or not doing. Just silence. It was beautiful. The next few days were mechanical. Setting up new bank accounts. Closing joint cards. Filing for a P.O. box. Everything that makes a relationship real has to be untangled one account at a time. I never realized how many things we'd fused together until I started peeling them apart. One night, I opened the closet in my new place and stared at the row of shirts. Just mine. No floral prints mixed in. No heels at the bottom. Just my things. And I lost it. I didn't cry like in the movies. It wasn't some dramatic sobbing into my hands. It was quieter than that. Just a long exhale, a few tears, and my back against the closet wall as Milo came over and rested his head on my knee. I wasn't grieving her. I was grieving the version of me that believed her. The man who thought loyalty meant safety. The guy who genuinely thought love was a promise both people kept just because they said they would. That guy was gone. Over the next week, Stephanie tried again. The messages came like clockwork, like she had a calendar reminder labeled "Poke the X." So I guess you're ignoring me now? You could at least be mature about this. You're being cold. That's not the man I married. We can still be friends if you stop acting wounded. That one stopped me. If you stop acting wounded. Like being gutted was an act. I didn't reply. One morning, I opened Instagram and saw she had posted a picture of herself at brunch with friends. The caption? Fresh starts. No regrets. No regrets. She really said that. Publicly. Proudly. Like what happened wasn't a betrayal, but a milestone. That day, I made a folder on my computer and labeled it reality. I filled it with screenshots. Her texts. Her posts. The flight confirmation I'd emailed to myself. Notes from our last conversations. Not out of spite, out of necessity. Because I knew there would come a day, maybe months from now, when I'd start to wonder if I'd overreacted. If maybe I had been too harsh. If maybe I could have forgiven. And on that day, I'd open that folder. I'd remember exactly who she showed me she was. You don't mourn people like Stephanie. You remember them. As warnings. I ran into Amanda at the grocery store. I was reaching for a jar of peanut butter wearing sweatpants and 2 days of stubble when I heard her voice behind me, Tyler. I turned. She looked uncomfortable. Eyes wide, expression tight. Holding a basket with 3 things in it and probably wishing she'd taken a different aisle. Amanda, the real Amanda. The one Stephanie swore she'd been drinking wine with that night. The name she tossed like a shield to block the truth. Hey, I said. My voice was even. No heat. No warmth either. She bit her lip. I wasn't expecting to see you here. Yeah, well, life's full of surprises. She looked down. Then up again. Something flickered in her eyes. Guilt? Maybe more. I just wanted to say. I didn't know. About everything. Not really. I raised an eyebrow. Not really. She winced. I mean, I knew she was hanging out with someone. But I thought it was casual. Stupid. I didn't think she brought him there. She used your name as her alibi, I said, voice low. Amanda paled. She what? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The silence was enough. She covered her mouth with one hand, looking down at the floor tiles like they might explain something. She told me you were being distant, Amanda finally said. That you were cold. Controlling. That you didn't listen anymore. There it was. The rewrite. The false narrative Stephanie had been spinning behind my back. I should have known. Of course she'd started laying the groundwork. That's how people like her do it, slowly reframe the story so when it finally blows up, they're already wearing the victim's crown. I looked Amanda in the eye. I made her coffee every morning, I said. Even after she stopped saying thank you. Amanda didn't know what to say to that. So she nodded awkwardly and said the thing people say when they don't know what else to say. Well, I hope you're okay now. I gave her a half smile. Not cruel. Not kind. Just a line drawn in the middle of a war zone. I will be, I said. Eventually. As she walked away, I realized something strange. I didn't hate Amanda. I didn't even hate Stephanie, not in the way most people define it. Hatred requires passion, energy, investment, and I had none of that left for her. All I had left was truth. And that, it turns out, is more powerful than rage. Because truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to break things. It just stands there unmovable. By the time I left the store, the weight in my chest felt a little lighter. Not gone, but lighter. I had eggs, milk, peanut butter, and peace. Stephanie could keep the drama. I was rebuilding. Quietly. On solid ground. 2 weeks later, the divorce papers were filed. I hired a lawyer, nothing flashy, just someone sharp and efficient. When I told him the story, he didn't flinch. Not even a blink. Apparently, people like Stephanie weren't rare in his line of work. He called them exit strategists. People who check out long before they walk out. People who set fire to the bridge and then act shocked when it burns. Stephanie didn't contest anything. Not the split. Not the dog. Not the house. Just one line through her lawyer. She wants to keep the dining table. The dining table. The one we built together during lockdown. Sanded, stained, sealed. Where we hosted holidays, fought over bills, shared pancakes, and once sat on the floor beneath it during a blackout, laughing with candles and wine. She wanted that. I let her have it. Because I knew she couldn't keep the memories that came with it. Around the time, mutual friends started trickling back into orbit. Not to take sides, not openly, but to check in. People who'd been distant when the news dropped. People who weren't sure what to believe. It always started the same way. Hey, man. I heard everything okay? I'd give them the basics. And then I'd watch their faces change when I got to the part about the guy hiding in the basement. That always did it. That part was undeniable. Something about another man hiding downstairs like a thief in my own home made it real for them. Undeniable. After that, they stopped trying to justify her. Stopped floating the maybe you two just grew apart narrative. No one wanted to defend someone who let her fling hide like a raccoon while her husband brought home almond creamer. One of those friends, Nate, even told me, bro, she told people you were emotionally unavailable. I nearly laughed. Emotionally unavailable. I who poured into her every day, who checked in, brought her comfort during anxiety attacks, held her through her mother's chemo, carried the dead weight of our connection until my back ached. I was the problem? No. I was the mirror. And she didn't like what she saw in it. Later that night, I found myself sitting on the floor of my new place, laptop open, trying to write a letter I'd never send. Just to get the venom out. I wrote everything I'd held back, every little moment she made me feel small, stupid, invisible. The way she used words like weapons and then claimed innocence. The way she turned every confrontation into an attack on her. The way she made me question if I was the one losing grip. I wrote until my fingers ached. Then I deleted it. Because Stephanie didn't deserve my last word. She didn't deserve the weight of my pain made permanent. She had her story. Her audience. But I had peace. And peace, unlike her, doesn't lie. The first night I actually slept came a month after the papers were filed. Deep sleep, the kind where you forget the world for a few hours, where dreams come and go like waves, not jolts. I woke up with sunlight on my face, Milo curled up at my feet, and for the first time in months, my chest didn't feel like a vice. I was healing. Not all at once. Not cleanly. Grief never moves in straight lines. Some days I still thought about her. Not out of longing, but curiosity. Like poking a bruise to see if it still hurts. And yeah, sometimes it did. But the ache faded faster each time. I started running again. Cooked for myself. Put up shelves. Hung art. I bought a new dining table, small, sturdy, mine. Not a single piece of her remained in that space. Not in the walls, not in the drawers. Even the air smelled different. Like freedom. Then something strange happened. I got a call from her mother. We hadn't spoken in months. She was always kind to me, reserved but respectful. So when her name lit up my phone, I hesitated before answering. Tyler, she said. I hope it's okay, I called. Of course, I said cautiously. She sighed, a long, heavy thing. I just wanted to say. I'm sorry. I stayed silent. Let her speak. I didn't raise her to be like this. And I know you don't want to hear about her, but she's not okay. She's trying to act like everything's fine, but she's not. I exhaled slowly. That's not my responsibility anymore. I know, she said. But I thought you should hear it. You didn't deserve any of it. It was strange getting the apology I never expected. But it didn't warm me. It didn't fix anything. It just confirmed what I'd already accepted. Stephanie was broken long before I met her, and I mistook her fractures for mystery. I thanked her and ended the call. That weekend, I ran into someone I used to work with. Emily. We'd always been friendly in passing, shared coffee breaks and sarcastic jokes in the break room. She smiled when she saw me. "Hey, divorce guy," she teased gently. "Still surviving?" I laughed. Something like that. We grabbed coffee, talked, laughed more than I expected. And when I walked her to her car, she touched my arm and said, "You look lighter." It caught me off guard. Lighter. Like I'd been walking underwater for years and only now realized I could breathe. She gave me her number. I waited 3 days to text her. Not because I was playing games, but because I wanted to make sure I wasn't dragging old wounds into something new. And when I did text her, it wasn't flotation. It was simple. "Thanks." That coffee was the first time I felt normal in a long time. She replied 2 minutes later. "Then let's do it again. Normal sounds good." And just like that, the world cracked open a little. Light came through. Not a spotlight. Not a flood. Just a warm sliver. Enough to remind me that beginnings don't always have to roar. Sometimes they whisper. 6 months passed. The final decree came in the mail on a Thursday afternoon. A manila envelope with a stamp and a signature that made it all official: marriage dissolved, property split, names signed in ink. I held it in my hands for a long time. Not out of regret. Not out of sadness. Just acknowledgement. A chapter closed. I didn't text her. Didn't post about it. No dramatic announcement, no symbolic burning of old photos. Just placed the envelope in a drawer and went about my day. Because the truth is, when something dies, it doesn't need a funeral if no one's mourning. By then, I'd settled into the new rhythm of my life. Waking early. Running at the lake. Cooking for one, sometimes two. Milo chasing ducks. Weekends at farmers markets. Weeknights with books and music and peace. And Emily. She never asked about Stephanie. Not once. She let me offer pieces of the story in my own time, never pressing, never prodding. Just listened. And when I told her the worst of it, the basement, the wine glasses, the cold dismissal, she didn't gasp or flinch. She just reached across the table and held my hand. "You didn't deserve that," she said. And that was it. No pity. No theatrics. Just a truth I already knew, finally spoken aloud by someone who wasn't trying to hurt me with it. One night, I drove past the old house. I didn't plan to. I was on my way home from dinner with friends, took a turn out of habit, and suddenly there it was. Same porch. Same brick. But it looked smaller somehow. Not haunted, just irrelevant. The lights were on. Someone else's car in the driveway. Her car was gone. I didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not pain. Just detachment. Like seeing an old photograph of yourself and realizing how far you've come from that person. How distant that version of your life feels now. How free. I parked down the street and sat there for a minute. Not to dwell. Just to mark the moment. Then I drove home. When I got back, Emily was curled up on my couch, Milo asleep at her feet, candles lit, some soft record spinning in the background. She looked up and smiled when I walked in. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I'm good." Because I was. Not because I'd found someone new. Not because the past didn't sting. But because I'd faced it, endured it, walked through the wreckage, and came out whole. So here's my advice to anyone reading this, to any version of me still sitting in a parked car with shaking hands. Don't wait for an apology from someone who broke you and felt nothing. Don't chase closure from the person who ran the blade. Sometimes the healing begins when you stop needing answers. And the peace? It begins the moment you walk away and never look back.